going into enemy territory, Icenia Sud or Sudland is friendly territory.
Yeah.
But yes, you may talk about your
Right.
other story.
But we're trying to go, and while we dare not go into the university, right, we know that we want to probably try to bridge some kinds of ways maybe to attract out, or just not be attractive anyways to stand out.
All you have
What
to do
else is in this? Sorry, go ahead.
dangle a carrot. That's all you need. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask what else is in Reginca other than the university and just being a general pirate safe haven. Pirate. Former pirate.
Or is it?
It's a holiday destination. It used to be an old fortress pirate town, back in its golden era. Now it's host to a couple of major churches for the Venetian Church, the Herald God, but it's mainly restaurants and beaches and just a kind of a haven away. It's Icenians go there on holiday. Clovians often use there on holiday. It's a beautiful location and has magnificent beaches 4 months of the year.
Are we in those 4 months?
You are. You're in the middle of. You're at the height of a travel season, which is why you had to make special arrangements to get a hotel. And as mission lead, you do have as part of your operation guide indication that you're staying at the Ibis Hotel. It should be just inside the Grand Port, or Grand Porta, the entrance to the walled city. It's on the outside lane. It should be easy enough to find.
Well, I mean, I think our cover is we're there on vacation because we all want to see Bjorn in swimming trunks.
I don't know the amount of scars that man's has. I think he would make children cry at the beach.
He's got enough hair; it covers it up.
They might try to push him back into the ocean.
The beached whale.
Let's come up on shore again.
I didn't know manatees were saltwater.
Yeah, that sounds like a good cover. I mean, all Blanca's vacations suck, so we need like a real vacation.
Yeah,
a real vacation.
Oh, we're gonna go visit my friend's in need. Something weird's happening at her house, but it's a really nice house and it's got plenty of rooms, and all of them are haunted.
If we weren't trying to avoid the university, we could use Blanca, saying she's scouting it out to maybe attend there, but we're not supposed to go on campus.
Not go on campus, right?
The whole principle of scrying, and I would probably have, maybe we'll role play that out, but in the midst of moving, this idea of, okay, what does scrying do? Your mom has said Commander Bess has said all sorts of gloom and doom things about it. So what is the thing that we have to be aware of when it comes to scrying? But we can, I don't know, when we start, we can have that conversation. Bani is happy to bring that up.
All right. Well, let's officially kick this off. I do want to kind of make sure as we go through and we're streaming this thing that we kind of give anybody watching a little introduction as to who we are and what we do and why we're together. I'll kind of give a little bit of background here. I was going to introduce John, and he'll be here later. John L. Campbell, also horror author of Omega Days. Also a lifelong game master I've known since high school. He's playing the role of Bjorn Oleander. He's a Norman War veteran. Hopefully he'll show up a little later in our stream tonight. We also have Eric Colette, who's taking on the role. He inherited a non-player character from earlier in the campaign and has made him his own.
Fit like a glove.
Eric is a technologist, solutions architect, and amateur author, very prolific, I might add, and has written probably more journals, or at least more lengthy journals than any known human. Again, he's inheriting the role of, or it's taken on the role of Bani Elkind, who's also a war veteran scout. He's kind of in his second act as a travel writer, which is how he kind of got recruited into Noctrictor. His ability to travel and document stuff gives him excuses to be anywhere on the planet. Ken Johnson is playing the role of Robin Durand. He's a retired Air Force colonel, now a financial consultant. Robin's character is kind of a former bounty hunter, urban ranger type, raised in an orphanage in the town of Genf in Burgundia. And most recently joining us is Mike Holliday. He's also inherited a non-player character role of Cornell Weiss. Mike is a server tech admin. Is that pretty close?
That catches it, yeah.
Okay, and he's actually participating in a different group that we have on a different night of the week, but he's joining us here to lend his role-playing skills. Cornell is, of course, he's a boat mechanic with aspirations toward high society. That kind of wraps up the nutshell of who's gathered here.
And he's KU.
Well, he's
not Kansas University.
His family immigrated from the Kurg Union, but he grew at a young age. He grew up inside Burgundia's borders. He's got a bit of a Kurg accent.
Yeah,
bit of a Kurg accent.
So last time when we left off, the team had just received orders from Commander Bess, the director of activities at Noctrictor, that a notorious war criminal had surfaced just recently, and he was discovered by another group that was heretofore unknown to Noctrictor, but is kind of well known in some intelligence circles. The Witch of Augustina, which is an organization that seeks to undermine Echelon and Clovian government as part of their charter. The Witch of Augustina is kind of an ancient figure who was martyred at some point in the history, and this kind of sisterhood is carried on as a resistance force going forward. They also kind of tipped the hand of this hidden individual and has now kind of stirred up a hornet's nest, which is what the team is responding to today as they get ready to board an airship and head north. You guys had some questions around, procedures, departure, etc. Why don't you kind of open up that dialogue as you travel from Habsburg towards Oberisk? You'll be taking a taxi from the castle down to Oberisk and a train into Zurich to catch your flight.
Hey, boss. Now I can call you boss, Cornell.
I don't think I like that, Bunny. It doesn't sound right.
Works for me. Works for me.
Well, whatever keeps you happy on this mission.
Well, that might be a little difficult.
Well, just know that I'm only holding on to this title. It's going right back to you once we're done here.
No, you're on your way up now. You're on your way up. This is just the first stage.
Or maybe we're just taking turns and you're next, Robin.
I'm a woman. That doesn't happen.
I don't understand why you keep saying that. Robin?
She reports to Commander Bess, and last I checked, Lady Bess is a woman as well.
Yeah,
not a field agent.
Not a field agent. So is Blanca.
Well, there are reasons why both of these individuals are unique, wouldn't you say?
You could say that, but no.
She just does like all the Blanca-esque kind of like I cast here, I cast there with a little. I just cast with a little smile, looking over at Blanca.
It doesn't.
What about Ursula? She's led a team.
Yes,
she has. Okay, now I'm pissed.
That team went through a rough spot. Yes, I was there, but it wasn't her fault. It was intelligence.
Oh, no, that was the milk run. That was the milk run job that turned more serious, wasn't it? At the casino?
No, that was something else. This was with the druids from the Kurg Union.
Oh.
You may not have. If you read the file, you
I
would have
didn't.
known. But
I was probably on vacation.
and it was me and Johannes that went.
Oh.
It just a little side adventure.
How was he?
It was good.
Good.
It was good. We didn't fight, which I didn't expect, but I didn't expect that we wouldn't fight. I just didn't expect that it was going to be as easy to work with him as it was. We're both professionals.
Truth be told, I am a woman of my time. I guess I'm somewhat feminist, but I do not think that a group of men, unless there's a lot of trust, that they would listen to me. That's what I feel.
Are you waiting for a good charm spell in order to leave? Because that's not coming anytime soon.
And there you go.
You see, Blanca has got a fairly large suitcase, larger than usual for a mission.
Is this every ward you need?
I don't know how long we'll be in theater, and I want to make sure I have the appropriate attire.
How many?
I see Big Brown is back. Lugging that around for 2 weeks wasn't enough.
She just smiles, and you see those freckles go a shade of red.
It's all right. Here, let me give you a hand with that.
She lets you. And to the rest of you, it looks perfectly natural to see these two moving luggage between themselves, each other.
Robin takes note. Thinks of Morik. Where's my galoot?
The big one? The big galoot?
The big galoot.
Is your galoot still in the picture?
Galoot's working.
He's always working. That's what she says.
You guys pile your luggage at the station in Obelisk. There's lots of steam pouring out as the trains come and go from the station. You find the dock with your assigned train on it, headed towards Zurich. It's early enough in the day that you've got a lot of commuters making their way to and from the train station is fairly brisk with traffic.
I do have one question that's out of character because I wanted to ask earlier, and maybe this matters to everybody too. Was the last mission considered to be a risk level of low, medium, or high? We knew it was important, very important, so maybe it was a high-risk mission to get the echelon agent for senior agents?
The risk is how it's determined. I would call it a moderate risk if you're looking for funds and payout.
Who, me?
Yep.
Okay.
Referring
to page number.
This mission is considered high risk and will yield the highest bonus pay currently afforded for your positions.
I take a peek over at the arrivals window to check how long till we're expecting our train to show up.
You've got about 8 minutes.
Okay. Last chance, everybody. Have what you need.
Seeing all of that luggage now, I'm not so sure. I'm gonna have to borrow an outfit, Blanca, if you dressed really for the vacation.
Stretch it out like you did last time, I'm not buying a replacement.
All right.
Those slinky black dresses always have, a little flex to them, right?
I don't think it's good for the beach.
Oh.
That's a good point. Silk is
But
not
it's okay.
good for the beach.
I'm sure there are tourist shops.
You do see that there is a parasol case with her luggage.
Always prepared.
I have a parasol case. It's a big tube.
Last time it was a ski bag. Before that, it was a hunting bag. This time it's parasol.
It's a big old parasol. I'm going to the beach. Yeah, and I have my little beach balls. They have little pins in them. Anyway.
You painted them special.
Yeah. Go play with the kids.
The winds have been strong all morning. You've watched the tops of the trees from the castle swaying in the wind. You know that the weather here is intemperate and that, you can get storms rolling in without much notice. Bani seems to have a sense of these things. So does Robin. They can often tell you within the hour when a storm's going to arrive, and almost, Nostradamus-like, they're accurate.
Better than the weatherman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, the weatherman just licks his finger and holds it up. That's the problem.
You also know these winds are likely to bring up summer rains, but in Burgundia they don't tend to last very long. Robin, you've got a pretty good sense that even just the trip between Oberisk and Zurich, you're probably going to ride through a downpour. You'll arrive to shiny streets in Zurich.
Get ready for a wet ride.
The 8 minutes transpires. You see the train roll in about a minute in advance of that. The passengers disembark. Many of them move past you downstairs and underneath the other tracks towards the station. Once it's clear, the doors open again and you're allowed to enter the train. Stow in your luggage.
Yeah, stow my modest bag. Keep my satchel on hand with the parasol. The big parasol tube attached to the top of it. Yeah.
At the Bahnhof, the attendants there are helpful in guiding you towards compartments. Nobody seems to be too worried up front as to where you sit. From travel that they'll check your tickets shortly after you've left the station. At that point, then they get serious.
The enforcers. I make sure that my ticket is inside of my jacket pocket. And don't let anybody with sticky fingers get close to me.
Do you travel as a group or do you spread out?
Oh, I'd say we stay together, but
I agree. Yep. I don't think we need to spread out here. We're just going to Zurich. It's not far.
We are going to go as our names, ourselves, ish.
I can't.
To Zurich, at least. We can discuss it on the train. We have an hour or so on the rail.
You feel the jerk of the train as the motors tug the train compartments and the cars as they pull from the station. Everybody settles in, and you've got the kind of quiet murmur of afternoon traffic and talk conversation. Your compartment's about half full. Oberisk isn't really a central hub of activity, and there's only one stop between here and Zurich, and you should pick up at least half, again, as many people on the train between here and there. Now is your quietest moment for the next 35 minutes.
Well, while it's quiet, I would like to ask a little bit about how some of the magic logistics work. I want to make sure. Are we in a booth ourselves? Is there a booth, or is it like a?
So there are offset kind of benches and couch sections, and in each car on each end there's like a semicircle pit with a table at the center. I'm assuming you kind of gathered in that. There's a glass divider between that and the common space, and then there's a restroom just opposite of that. It's as private as it gets. There will be you've got a small family in the same compartment that's within earshot of a normal conversation. If you lower your voices, you can obscure it.
Okay. Well, I will be aware, and any direct references I will keep low. So Blanca, how does this work? What was your mom going on about with the scrying? What are we up against if they were to spot us or perceive us in some way? She said it could foil the whole plan.
Magic schools in general, from the several I've attended, tend to have high protocols when it comes to detecting who's on campus and why they're on campus. There's almost always a dedicated teacher, administrator, whose job it is to monitor the student body, and by extension, anybody on the grounds. There's also generally wards and guards that are set up to detect any kind of transition onto campus. You can imagine that the information that's stored there is quite sensitive, and they don't like uninvited guests. I'm thinking what Mother's really referring to is that, there is the ability to probe the minds of those whom they detect on campus. Invisibility is no protection on a magical university or college. I've not attended this one in specific. I did see the literature my mother acquired back in the day as she was considering places for me to study. I think the thing that prevented her from sending me here was the location and proximity to the distraction of summer destinations, beaches, and young men.
I wouldn't imagine that being a trouble or a problem. You're so work-minded, very focused.
razor sharp.
Razor focused. But so that means I mean the who is here is one thing, but the why you're here, that is much more intense. I mean,
yes, shielding your mind from, keeping your surface thoughts is something you can do if you're practiced, right? But ulterior motives can easily be exposed by an idle thought, right? Self-protection is the first way to expose yourself and to somebody who's trying to read your mind. If you feel threatened, you will often try to hide the thing. It's like a tell when you're playing a poker game. It's the same when you're trying to shield your mind. And the thing you try to protect is the first thing you expose.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that this, well, it just seems awkward or different or worrisome that the college in the first place is housing this individual. Or is it housing it or him, or is it something more? Is he
There
unknown?
were lots of laboratories in the universities, colleges that I attended, and there were adjunct professors, people doing research, oftentimes in just rented spaces, sometimes in a tower, sometimes dungeon-like, depending on the nature of their studies. And oftentimes the universities would take a cut of any benefit from these, and therefore funding the university. So they're pretty flexible as to what they will allow, as long as proper precautions are taken. I don't think there's any kind of a union between the administration and our nefarious counterpart.
But they do have the ability to perceive his thoughts. They do have the ability to seek him out or sniff him out. So
I'm sure they're aware he's on campus. Yes, he's probably paying some exorbitant fee to work there and hide there. And
okay.
They probably understand, even if there's a good chance at least somebody in the administration knows who he is.
Okay. Oh, that is even worse. That is more worrisome than
Money will move mountains. It always has.
Yeah.
Well, how much though can the king bring to bear? Because if he's interested in having the Blood Prince, then
go ahead.
He has to deploy forces much like our nation, right? We go to stop him. Someone else probably goes to liberate him. And that opposition will come to fruition in theater.
There's the rule of law and the rule of force. And when the rule of law does not work, the rule of force begins. And unfortunately, those inside of that college have a little bit of both. They can use legal means to work things, but they can also lay down some extreme firepower, which I've seen from you.
If we cross into their realm uninvited, we bring another layer of hate on us that we don't really want. These administrators are pretty pompous individuals. Even just residing on a campus is almost beneath their station. If it weren't such a vaunted position where they got to hold up their credentials, most of them would work independently and just soak up money through other means.
So that's a really good point, though, because we could actually leverage that. I mean, this individual, he's very haughty. He's in that space.
I expect this man is a supreme egotist, and maybe there's some vulnerability there.
That's worth a thought.
No, I don't think he spends all of his time on campus either. So just the fact that he's based off of the campus, I don't think that's a huge barrier that we have to overcome, unless we absolutely have to.
Right. If the Witch of Augustina group discovered or found him out, then he probably was off campus perhaps.
During that time. Yeah. So that is a good point then. We need to match a name to the face. And if the Witch of Augustina, that organization, does have what he looks like and have his current name, we may be able to start looking up or finding reservations or all manner of things to verify where.
Did I hear right? Is that who Jacques Lamont is?
Edward Manon is the man we're looking for. He is the Blood Prince.
Well, no, I know, but I mean in terms of the Augustina group.
Oh, he's our contact. Is that correct?
Jacques Lamont, yes.
Yeah.
Well said. Yes. Yeah, he'll be able to give us much more information as soon as we can really get in touch with him.
Yeah, I think at this point, a lot of it's going to be riding on what information he has for us on how we take our final approach on nabbing the Blood Prince and his research. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad idea to, have cover that we're going there for vacation or whatever else we can come up with at the same time. But other than that, I think we just want to lay low on this rest of the train and the flight. And then once we pick up the car in Briggs and make the drive over there to meet with Jacques Lamont, then we'll finalize our plans, I think.
You make a brief stop. It looks like the train just kind of comes to a halt. There is a section of concrete with a slight cover on there. It looks like it might be more an administrative stop. You see some of the staff on the train change over, and they're underway very quickly, faster than a typical stop. Mm. You're about the halfway point to Zurich.
Any paper I can grab?
There are some brochures and flyers in a stand at the top of the stairs on the second deck. As you make your way to look for such a thing, you see the rain speckling on the outside of the windows. It's still sunny out. The rain's coming from a blue sky.
Beautiful. Yeah, see if I can get the Zurich Post or something and go back in.
You bring a newspaper back and shake it open. You see advertisements for corrections to damaged limbs. Looks like there's some doctor who's purporting to be able to fix war wounds for veterans. Looks like he's paid a lot of money to get his ad closer to the front. There are articles talking about the situation in
Visigonia.
There's a great deal of there are a number of stories about refugees fleeing south away from the Colovian advances. A lot of sympathy, but not a lot of help from neighboring nations. Of course, Savron is probably the nearest by, and their borders are purportedly closed to any fleeing Visigonians.
Yeah, no doubt.
That shouldn't come as a surprise, though. Yeah.
No.
Right.
Montanica has set up some accommodation on the other side of the Pyrenees, allowing for a pocket of refugees, but they're not allowed to leave the city closest to their border. So south of Toulouse, as you go into Montanica, Barcelona has set up a little encampment to help refugees.
Robin reads a section and passes it and of course, gives the comics section over to Bani.
Yeah.
There's a lot of national pride that you get from war stories from the refugees fleeing. Everybody's, honoring their Visagonian heritage and excusing the losses that they're taking battle after battle, to not getting any support from neighboring nations. But you guys know from firsthand, seeing of the area there and just kind of intelligence you've read about that
it's a bloodbath.
Yeah, well, and the corruption that runs through the government and the military has basically put anything of practical use out of reach of the people who need it to combat the approaching well-organized forces from Clovia.
Devastating.
Anything about Icenia Sud and tensions there? Is it same stalemate?
There is there's an article several pages deep in the newspaper that's an interview with Princess Bani. Bonvika Rourke is her name, the princess of Sudland, as they call it. There's an interview and she's talking about how the aggressions to the south are just the beginning of what looks like a larger campaign, and that she plans to mobilize what forces she has to the border to prevent any ideas that the King of Clovia has for further expansions.
I check this and say, well, do you think she's doing this she said it on the record, and this is being captured by somebody. Doesn't that warrant a little discretion? I mean, do you think that she said this off the cuff, or is this, this is not a diplomatic phrase that she was just saying there?
No, it's not.
There's a lot of bad blood between Icenia and Clovia going back to the Great War, and they don't generally mince words anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
She's taking it seriously, as she should.
Well, even in the article, it sounds like she has been making overtures towards the world bodies for some time now, warning that Clovia's beef with Visagonia is not just a
isolated
territorial thing.
Right.
Yeah, that it will leak out if it's not stopped.
Well, we all know that.
Yeah, too well.
You steam into Zurich Station. You're about 5 minutes from being able to disembark.
Sorry, everybody froze. I'm back.
Welcome back.
We just pulled up into the station,
Okay.
so it'll be about 5 minutes before we can disembark. I stand, grab my duffel, throw it over my shoulder, and then stand next to the storage compartment where Blanca's giant brown suitcase is. She's
got a smaller shoulder bag that you've seen her take on other operations. It's the same one she took up to the Alps. Of course, that is complemented by her huge suitcase. This is, of course, the era before wheels. You're just lucky it doesn't look like a sea chest.
Not surprised if it did. One person in front, one person in back.
The small family in your compartment all stands up about 2 minutes and files down the stairs waiting for the doors to open. You guys aren't as eager as that young family, and gather your belongings. You make your way into the arched coverings underneath Zurich Station. And even from here, you've got that huge glass panel that bridges the distance between two lines of buildings. It feels like one giant superstructure, but it's actually a series of buildings on the left and the right of the trains connected by this panel. From there, as you disembark, you can actually see the superstructure of the decampment center, block and a half from the train station.
Not bad.
Do we already have tickets for our flight, or do we need to look into the next
They were
flight?
included in your briefing.
Okay.
What time does our flight depart? I pull open my my voucher of packet of tickets and thumb through the numerous tickets I'm holding onto for this journey.
You feel like you're concierge.
Yeah.
This one's yours. This one's yours.
If you want an administrative assistant, I'll help.
It's about 3:45 p.m. You depart 10 after 4.
Oh.
The tickets tell you you'll be arriving at London at 10 p.m.
I am going to make a call. I'll meet you guys at the gate.
All right.
There's a bank of phone booths not far from the ticket counter, and you also see that there is a large cigarette vending machine right next to the telephone bank.
Depending on how things go, I might take some of that too. I am going to lean into one of the phone booths and pick up and pull out a card. It's the card for Oxford University.
Ah.
And I'm going to make a call and see if Oksana is available to meet briefly as we cross paths.
You fish an obscene number of coins into that machine before it lets you finish dialing that number.
You have 1 minute.
You get a dial tone. You hear an operator in the background. International operator. How may I direct your call?
I am to reach the University of Oxford.
One moment, please. You hear clicking and it almost sounds like typewriters working in the background. A moment later, you
look at the card and say, I want to know what the professor's name is. I can't remember what his name is, so I have to. Sorry, put you on the spot.
Dr. Legrand.
Okay.
Very humble man.
You are passed through to a university operator. All the while, you can still hear that clicking in the background, and there's like about every 10 seconds you hear kind of and you know that's a meter running on the number of coins you've put in.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Quick.
At some point, you are connected to a live voice again. The operator secretary comes on the line. Who may I connect you with, please?
Professor Legrand.
One moment, please.
Oh man, I get a pouch ready for a few more coins. I'm at the ready.
Roll a d20 for me.
Big die, chunkies. Ones that make a lot of noise. 9.
You're a little nervous that you haven't got that much change on hand. You're stacking the coins, feeling for them, and recognizing that what you put in there was the majority of your cash. And you don't see a cash machine handy, but there is a ticket counter not far away if you have to.
I might actually snap and see if I can get one of the group's attention, Robin or even Blanca, I guess.
Cornell's we know not to ignore Bani because never mind. I rolled a 1. I must be focused on something.
You are totally ignoring me intentionally.
Intentionally.
I'm gonna take a chance for right now. Let's see if I get through to somebody.
Does anybody see?
You do hear finally that same female voice come back on the phone. Yes, Dr. Legrand has just finished a meeting. Can you hold a minute?
1 second. I don't have much time. I'm going to leave you a note. Is that okay?
Yes, I have a pencil.
I would like to. So my wife Oksana is under his care. I am going to be in town briefly. I'm going to take a look at the ticket and see what time we arrive in London.
10 p.m.
I will be there in London at 10 p.m. at the decampment center for the airships. I would really appreciate him making arrangements so that I could see my wife before I continue on to my next destination.
Very well. I will pass the message along. You hear the pencil scribbling in the background.
And this is Bani. Just say Bani.
Bani for Oksana. Last name?
Elkind.
Elkind. Very well.
Thank you. And no need to fetch. Just let him know.
To continue this call, please add 3 lira.
Well, let the change fall. Okay, I'll hang up. Scoop the remaining change into my pocket and humph just a little. Harumph.
Harumph.
Okay, go over and join the rest of them. Did anybody get anything to eat? This place, this airship serves really good food, right? I expect. What class are the tickets? I'll look at mine.
You know that any class on an airship is
Primo.
Are meals usually included, or is it a separate thing? Like, is a meal included with your ticket?
In first class, it's included. Your tickets, you will be purchasing your meals.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
You see that Blanca has already flagged a cab. She's motioning for everybody to gather. You see that it's a large enough long body cab to hold all of you.
Yeah.
Even Bjorn.
It's only a 2-block walk, but
I know. I'm like, what?
You've got enough luggage that you guys would actually work up a fair lather. It's the middle of summer.
That's fair.
Oh my. We join her.
Get all the luggage in the back of the cab as best we can. Even if we have to pop the rear trunk up just a little bit, leave it that way for the 2 blocks.
The driver insists on helping the luggage into the back. He situates everything, motions for you to get inside. You see that he makes his way back to the front, flips the handle on his flag to in service. The light comes up on top.
Just to the decampment center, please.
Very good. He left the vehicle idling. He puts it into gear and you throttle out into traffic. You make your way through a fair amount of foot traffic, bicycle traffic. Zurich, being the wealthy place that it is, has an inordinate number of vehicles compared to other cities. Oberisk, where you spend a great deal of time, there's 20, 30 cars that are seen fairly regularly. Here, that many pass by you just as you're trying to get into traffic.
Sight to see, isn't it?
It is. It's a contrast, and it's so much warmer too.
The rain has abated as predicted. The streets are glossy. You can hear the underbody of the vehicle getting a fresh shellacking from the grit on the streets. You pull up to an intersection waiting for an electric tram to roll by. You can feel the absolute change in this town versus where you've been. Everything here is cleaner, nicer, newer, and if it is old, it's been scrubbed by somebody with a toothbrush who spent too many hours making sure this place is pristine. You see the decampment center get closer. Currently, the air dock is empty, but the telltale shape of the boarding area comes into focus. You pass by a number of clock and watch manufacturers, high-end restaurants. You pass by 3 different banks just getting to the base of the decampment center.
What currency does Icenia Sud use?
They are on the...
Good point.
They're on the Quinn.
Oh.
Why don't you pull over at the bank there on the corner? Actually, we're gonna change some currency.
But he pulls over to the curb, leaves the meter running. Of course, sir.
I'll be right back. Keep it running. Thank you. Pop out of the cab. Robin, come with me.
Hey, how much are you changing?
A couple hundred lira. What do you think?
Yeah, 500 sounds good.
500.
Yeah.
We have to pay in local.
It's gonna cost us too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grab Robin and head into the bank.
You move through the doors into the bank. There are a number of short lines to countertops, standard bank layout, big windows, cathedral-like in its construction.
Do a quick spot around to see if they have a spot specifically for currency exchange.
You do see a counter labeled currency exchange. It's actually in 6 languages.
Perfect. There we go. How's the line?
There's a woman at the front of the line. She's got a looks like a fairly hefty purse, probably in her mid-40s, scarf over her head, stockings a little torn in the back. You see she's got her bag up on the counter, and the clerk in a bow tie and a nice hat is being very accommodating.
Wait, take place in line behind her and wait patiently.
You hear a very thick Alemanni accent as she's pulling out different denominations. Looks like she's got marks in there that she's trying to change to local currency.
Just out of curiosity, like there wouldn't be any better exchanges that were possible, would there? Bank is it?
You could black market.
Yeah.
You know that going through a bank, you're going to pay a 5% fee.
I'm gonna give the equivalent of the streetwise check, if you will.
Yeah, check your society roll.
Right. 24.
There's a few blocks from here. You kind of know from your time in Genf. You haven't actually been here yourself, but there's a bike rental place a couple blocks from here that's just got fleets of bikes in there. That some are free, some are for rent. The free ones you probably want to pay rent for. But reportedly there is a place over there that will do money exchange, and it's probably a 2% fee for those services. It is kind of a common, well-trodden area that is mostly safe.
Especially in the middle of the day.
Getting the denominations, the amount that you want might be a bit of a problem, but
right. If we're just looking for like a couple hundred, maybe it wouldn't be a problem. But if we're going to go high.
What did you roll again?
24.
The amount that Bani and Cornell were batting around of 500 might be a stretch for them, especially because you're dealing with Quinn, which is a very distant coin.
Okay. You see, I sort of look like a little to the side, especially when I glance at all, the heavy coinage and how long it's going to take. There's another place that might be an option, but it's not on the table. Cost a little less, but probably can't handle. Like, I think we're going to really need, like, maybe, what do you think, 1,000 to Quinn? Each of us thinking 500.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it going to be any faster than this?
I would think it's going to be usually where traffic goes. So where you have there's a bicycle kind of exchange place you can rent. But yeah, probably not the quantity we want. But it would you'd probably save 3%.
Well, I think we could probably get reimbursed for the exchange rate.
Oh, actually, you're right. Why am I trying to be cheap?
We're on a mission, Robin. Spend your money.
I need to be more like Blanca.
The woman in front of you, whose name you catch as Claudia, finishes her transaction, and she apologizes for taking so long. Perception.
19 total, or excuse me, 29.
Oh, and 30. We got high rolls.
The two of you look at each other as she walks away from the counter, and you kind of give yourself a look like she's not actually that age. She's probably 10 years younger. That looks like a disguise.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I glance at Robin, making sure she
We
picks
both
up
see it.
what I picked up.
I give you a bit of a
Curious.
I give you kind of a smile because I see that you see what I see.
Yeah.
You recognize that there are all kinds of transactions that happen that really aren't in the charter of Noctrictor. There are crimes happening every day that you guys can't care about.
If we weren't on a mission, I might be inclined to investigate on my own, but
Or get it on the racket.
I nod. Yeah, maybe. Instead, I nod towards the counter.
The idea of laundering comes to mind as you guys watch her walk out and stretch her stride.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's it. Don't want that money.
The clerk looks over your request. He has you fill out a piece of paper. He takes it. He signs it, has you sign it, and transaction is done within a minute. You see him push across the money and the exchange rate. He takes a certain percentage, puts it in the cash drawer, and puts it in a manila style envelope, folds the little tabs down over it, hands it back to you with a slip of receipt.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Are you going for just like 500 or are you going to...
We'll do 6.
Okay.
I should cover basic expenses in that way. Yeah. We don't draw attention to ourselves.
Basic expenses.
On vacation?
Yeah, you know.
I mean, hopefully for the hotel.
Expensive.
The hotel room, Lira, no?
Is Ken cutting out for anybody else?
Yeah, a little bit.
It says it's unstable.
You're
Am I there?
unstable.
I can see you moving.
Yeah, you're just like a little bit below audio is cutting.
Yeah. We can hear you, but it's just a little jittery.
Yeah.
Try reset.
Clement,
Weird.
Manila.
Sorry, Michael. You also just glitched.
Glitched?
You're back. And you're back.
Now you're glitching.
Yeah,
Me?
you are.
It's everybody have
We're
Comcast?
all going through
a tunnel.
Yeah.
If we all have Comcast, it basically
we're going through a connection quake.
Yeah. Divvy out, equal denominations of the Quinn to everybody, just so they have a little bit in their wallet, just in case. Hold on to one larger bundle.
You check the clock on the wall at the bank, see that you've got about 20 minutes before you need to board.
Is there any security procedure that we need to get through before boarding or anything like that, or is it pretty smooth?
It's really smooth. The few times you've flown, the biggest security check is the other passengers trying to fight to the front of the line.
And that's when you check him. That's right.
We got elbows. We got elbows aplenty.
Oh, elbows for days.
Basically one giant elbow.
As you exit the bank, you actually see the shadow of an airship crawl across the street. You look up and see that it's got Icenian markings. You see that the ship itself is flying the Icenian flag, and it is identified as the Icenians aren't very flowery about naming their ships. This one is the R100. You assume R stands for royal, but there's really no rhyme or reason to any of it.
Such romance. Such romance. I feel it.
Okay.
You sound
Hopefully
good.
You have returned.
You need to kick your kids off of,
I have returned.
Netflix or something.
clear. I should be sucking it away from them, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
You set your device's priority, kicks everybody else down to a lower level. That's what I do.
I'll call you for tech support. All right, so back to the
I'll
car.
charge you.
Or right back to the taxi.
The cab driver pulls away from the curb as you are all back in and seated. You go another half a block to the building at the base of the decampment center. It looks like it's set up like a high-end cafe. Huge arched doors framed by windows. Everything is just beautifully illuminated in there, and you can see there's a body of people on the left side seated around cafe tables. On the right, you can see that people are standing next to luggage, and further back you can see a massive elevator that aligns with the tower that rises up above. The building itself is about 3 stories. The decampment center rises up about 10.
How long do we have?
We have about 15 minutes or so. The airship's docking now. I point up above.
You hear the fans beating against the wind. You can see the ailerons all moving in concert to align it to the tower. You can see that there's at the nose of it, a little mouth opens up and a bridge connects to a walkway, and you see the workers moving back and forth to kind of secure all the ramps. You've been on these things before. When they're using a decampment center, they use that aerial rotation tower. Once it docks, the wind allows it to move like a weather vane all the way around there. So no matter what direction it changes, you've got this rolling staircase that always follows the mouth of the airship.
Why don't we sit down for a couple minutes while they prep everything for boarding?
The cab driver asks for 5 lira for the journey.
I'll give him 7. Keep the change, friend.
He nods, tips his hat your direction. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. You too.
And he pulls the luggage curbside, tips his hat once more, and returns to his cab.
I'm going to go over and pick up my luggage and look inside at the cafe and say, is the food better on the ship or is it better here? Asking Blanca.
Might be the
I look at Blanca.
kitchen. Yeah.
Anybody on the street can eat in the cafe, she says, and doesn't answer the rest of the question.
So just a coffee then. Just a coffee.
Yeah, just a coffee sounds good.
You
Nice.
get inside. Service is brisk. You ask for a coffee. The staff here clearly is accustomed to people in a hurry, which for Burgundy in general, I mean, meal service is something to be appreciated at a slow pace. But decampment centers, and maybe by extension, the Bahnhof has a little quicker pace because they know people are on the schedule. If this were a standard restaurant, it might be 10 minutes before you even see a waiter.
Can't get a faster coffee.
Yeah, all they have to do is splash coffee in a cup and I'm good.
You see the elevator doors open. About the time you guys are getting your coffee, you see passengers making their way out, families, couples, individuals. Looks like there's a fair amount of business travel on this flight. If you're looking at the board, you can see that this flight actually just arrived from London, and that's where its return service is going to. You hear the deep intonations of the Cornish accent, a lot of them speaking Cornish to your Burgundian counterparts. Everybody here seems to be able to respond in kind, but you guys see it as a little thuggish that they can't be bothered to speak your native tongue.
I do. My
Yeah. Are we losing it?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, say it
you
again.
broke up for a second.
Okay, I look around my companions. Look like they ended Cornish.
We're getting such poor transmission.
Do you think it's the rain? I mean, like, shoot.
So what did you ask again, Michael?
At the corner.
And now you're doing it, Ken. Is it?
Yeah. Let's depart and return in unison.
Okay.
I gotta stay in
Depart and
place.
return.
I will stay in place.
All right, I'm gonna leave. I'll be right back, and then you can go.
Okay. I am all alone.
I'm all alone.
I am all alone. Okay.
Now you got to rebuild
Yeah,
everything again, Eric, because we're in the wrong spots.
Nah, I just have to move portraits around. As soon as he kicks off the share, it'll all fill right in.
Let's share. Share alike.
Bing.
Yeah, the share wasn't like high intensity, so I don't know why we're having that weird trouble. Okay.
Well, I dropped my camera resolution and everything. Hopefully that helps.
Oh, good idea. Well, it can't hurt. Let me see if I can drop mine too.
But yeah, that was funny. I say something and then just see Keith's blank face staring back at me.
All right. I went to standard resolution too. Okay. What were you saying?
I was saying I glance around at my party and make note of everybody who looks like they understood the Cornish being called back and forth because Cornell doesn't understand
Cornell
it.
doesn't understand Cornish. Oh, man.
So do you recognize what broken recognition is?
No, because it's probably about the same to me. I don't know the difference.
Yeah. Bani nods and picking up conversations and eyeballing people, and if you should know that he knows the language, and so does Blanca, correct?
Yeah.
And we know that Bjorn does too because of history.
Him being a normie.
I dropped my voice a little bit to try and avoid being overheard. I mean, it's a bustling cafe. It probably wouldn't be a problem anyways, but I dropped my voice and look over to Bani and Bjorn and Blanca and Robin. And I know I'm mission lead here, but we might have a language problem once we're in Icenia Sud. If that's the case, somebody else is going to have to step up. I can still make it calls and decisions if need be, but
we'll keep you informed. I'll absolutely act as translator for you.
I really should take some serious time and try to get better too. I'm understanding. I'm like a something, if that.
You are broken, but yes, it's okay.
At least you can understand.
The group of you do pick up a group moving from the elevator, speaking in Gallic. It's two men and a woman. The three of them stop and light up a cigarette, almost immediately exiting the elevator. They have a conversation with each other. It looks like they're kind of discussing accommodations or whether to get a bite to eat before they check in. The group of them move towards the doorway. Perception, everyone.
35.
Ooh, I thought I had you this time. 31.
24.
24. Hot roll.
Cornell and Robin, you watch the three of them go out. A little suspect of, motives, etc. They move out and hail a cab. You actually see the driver who was just dropping you off swing up to the curb to pick them up. But what's more notable is the gentleman at the counter who throws his coffee down quickly and then trails out behind them.
Tracks behind.
You see him stand outside the cafe while the group loads their luggage into the cab. And you see him raise up a hand calling a cab for himself.
Wish I could read minds.
If that's
Make
a
eye
private
contact
investigator,
with.
could you imagine the fact that there's so much trepidation right now towards Clovian citizens? I wouldn't be surprised if people coming off of that flight are being investigated for at least surface activities. But I don't know.
From London, and coming from London, don't know.
I just hear you guys talk about it. I don't actually see anything that's going on.
You're thinking about Loxana.
A attendant in the decampment center calls for first boarding for London. You look at your passes and it's just general boarding. Everybody has the same access.
Do you guys want to throw elbows, or do you want to let it calm down for a minute?
Oh, we want to make sure we get our seats together. We need to.
Oh, we should be fine.
Is it? Yeah. Is it assigned?
Good question.
Quarters, or is it just free reign? What do we usually see?
You have quarters. They're listed on your tickets. What a lot of the shoving and elbowing is for is the seats on the promenade with the best views.
All you have to do is bring Bjorn in and point him in a direction and make him scowl, and it will just clear the area in front of him. It's fine. It's fine. We can get what we need.
Well, I mean, we're going to be... Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, Bani. Point our man.
There's a wall moving in front of us, moving people out of the way.
You're gearing up for just under a 6-hour journey to London.
Now we can eat.
Take a good long time. Yes.
You let some of the crowd clear. The elevator goes up several times. The lobby starts to get a little quieter. And eventually you recognize that there's only a couple of other good-sized groups left, and it feels like a good time to climb aboard.
Go ahead and head that giant trunk. I do, make a show of it, and be like, lifting it up.
Do you do it above a shoulder, or what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, right here. Carry it on my shoulder.
There you go.
You see that there are porters here on the ground level that are more than happy to accommodate as they hold out a gloved hand.
More than happy.
I go ahead and set it back down. Let's be honest. I'm going to be carrying this thing the rest of the trip. We'll let them handle it for the 50 feet to the elevator.
Right. You're a made man. You don't have to do this.
You guys rise up through the elevator. Once you clear the few stories of the building, you're looking out through the scaffolding that is the tower, and your view of the city gets better and better as you climb up. The airship casts a shadow down over the city. From where you are, you can't actually see the airship, but by looking down, you can kind of map the size of this thing as it casts a long shadow below. You're at the top of the elevator. You're on the inside of a circular building. It looks like it almost feels like a university this conference room where they have the concentric seats going up, where you've got kind of like if you're doing surgery in the middle and you've got rows of seats going up.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. You've got stairs going up in two directions, and then you see that there are exits to an outside kind of rampart. In the very top of this thing is a kind of an inverse cone that comes down to an enormous spring mechanism that seems to offset the docking or mooring point for the airship. And you see this thing straining and adjusting itself constantly to the wind turbulence across the R100 docked outside. You see that the general flow of traffic is up the stairs and out onto the rampart. The winds are a little stronger up here. Every time that door opens, you can see the posters and things announcing all the destinations that this company flies to kind of flutter in their traces.
I do want to poke out and stand on the slight promenade. I mean, it has an overlook of the whole city. How is it? Is it fenced
beautiful
in?
up there. The railing is higher than you would expect. OSHA doesn't exist for another 100 years or so, but there are safeguards up here to keep people from leaning too far over. But you can look through the grating across the entire city. You see the Lake Zurich off to your right, and a narrow river that bands around the city and slices through the financial district. You can even see the university across the river in the distance.
I'm gonna just soak it in. Soak it in.
There's actually memories here.
Yeah,
gorgeous city.
The sun is warm. It feels really good on you for the first couple of minutes, but that breeze is the only thing that makes it really manageable or comfortable up here. As you're waiting for people to board, you see the R100 changes about 2 degrees of arc as the wind adjusts, and you hear just groaning from this tower you're on. The banded metal strains under the weight of the ship, or at least its mass being pulled by the wind.
Jeez, that's intimidating.
Is this a larger airship than normally moors here?
It's a mid-size commercial airship, 719 feet in length.
Jeez.
133-foot diameter. The internal volume of this thing is 5 million cubic feet.
Wow.
And then we're on this little sandwich on the bottom.
Exactly. You see it. I mean, the crew members moving around. Even here in the docking point, there are numerous, and you can see that there's a lot of activity. There are a number of hatches that are open out into the nacelles that have the propellers. And you can see people out crawling through there, making maintenance checks, tightening lines. There's a huge fueling line that goes up and through the nose as it's taking in more blue gas and lift gas. You do see that there are some markings on the outside of the ship where the crew is documenting things. You can see there are performance specs and things like that noted on the exterior for incoming crews. But you saw in the brochure before you even got on board that there's a crew of 37. Customer cabin will hold up to 100.
Wow. It's a lot of people, crew to customer ratio.
Yeah. The maximum cruise speed is 81.5 miles per hour.
Knots.
And it's got a range of 4,000 miles.
Wow.
That's what it gets when you just can float.
The connecting ramp clears of foot traffic. You see an avenue to enter through the nose. You'll be walking down a long railed corridor with hand railing. It's kind of lined with these silvery colored canvas, rubberized canvas on each side. So you've got a ceiling and 2 walls that kind of feels like whale flesh.
And you're Jonah.
Yes, you're entering the belly of the whale.
This is
at the
from the other end though, because this definitely has a narrow non-pokies and all that stuff. Okay.
Leave it to Bani to think of it that way.
Just being real here. Just being real.
the porters take your luggage on your behalf all the way down and into the passenger compartment, and you'll find your luggage in your room unless you reserve something to carry for yourself.
What are the quarters arrangements?
Mission lead.
Mission lead, yeah.
That's Mr. Mission Lead to you, ma'am. Hello.
He's got his flying goggles on.
Fantastic. That is amazing. I love it.
That's a good entrance, John.
Yes.
How is everybody?
Good. How are you doing, man?
Good.
Cool. I'm good.
We're on the airship to leave Zurich.
We just boarded it, really. So it's about to take off. We have about a 6-hour flight ahead of us.
So leave the goggles on.
And where are we going?
We are going to London, and then from London we have a flight to is it Briggs?
Let me zoom
It's
back
to
out
Briggs, where we'll get a car and drive to Reginca.
I see. We're in Icenia Sud.
Yep.
That's where we go.
Oh,
We will be eventually.
You can see the map, John?
I can. Hey, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Where is the town of Dunkirk?
Dunkirk
It's
is
up
it's
at
right.
the northern tip.
Can you see my? It's right in here somewhere.
Okay. It factors into book 3, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't park it somewhere in Normandy. That would be bad.
This is all.
All right, cool.
I thought it would be closer to this point right up here because that's the
I did
closest
too.
So
point.
close.
Right.
That's-
and all the
that's
fishing
Cal-
boats.
Isn't
Yeah.
that Calais?
You know,
Isn't that where the Fuhrer was convinced the landing was going to be because it was so short?
Yeah.
Wrong.
When I made this map, I didn't plan to answer a lot of other questions.
These are the cities you need to worry about.
Excuse me, I will just consult Google then. Google,
Get off my
why is
rock.
Keith being a dick?
Dunkirk shortly, but for right now.
Yes, so you are as a team boarding the R100 Icenian airship. I gave it statistics: crew of 37, capacity 100 passengers, 719 feet in length, 133 feet in diameter. The internal volume is 5,156 cubic feet, and its empty weight is 236,365 pounds.
Thank you, Blue Gas.
That's without Bjorn's duffel bag.
Bjorn's not the only one that's traveling heavy. Blanca
Oh,
brought her
really?
giant suitcase. She
Demon's
has her
chest.
entire wardrobe and probably a couple bricks in there. I don't know what she has in there.
Just stuff for heaviness and weight.
Yeah, probably.
Is she doing that early 20th century travel?
And stickers
It's not
all
quite
over that
a
bag.
trunk, but it's probably close.
Yeah, it's not
to answer your-
multiple trunks.
To answer your
never know
question,
what you-
Robin,
Yeah.
we have after consulting the tickets, we have two small cabins.
How long's the flight?
6 hours,
Oh, that's
To
not.
London.
and then we'll have probably another 2-3 hour flight to Briggs.
That's a fair guess.
But yeah, we'll be arriving in London at about 10 p.m., 10:30 maybe.
And are we changing airships? Because this just
No,
keeps
this
going back
is-
and forth.
It's the same
it?
ship for the duration.
Okay.
What were you saying, Bjorn?
I was just saying that we're being sent across Alemania as opposed to Clovia to avoid entanglements.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Did you guys do a recap of last week?
Yes.
Bjorn is just wondering if he could get the highlights of the mission parameters again, especially this whole creature of darkness, blood prince.
Just the light stuff.
Yeah, because he tried to ask Robin and she got all weird and evasive, and so
talk to mission lead.
Now he's convinced that she's hiding something, so he wants to know from Cornell. What
Have you tried that yet?
Up against?
Not yet.
Okay, let me know what you think. Well, we were Knock Richter was notified by the witches of Augustina. They're kind of like a coven that have. Does that get approval? Nice.
They could say
A coven. Yeah. Coven.
All the
witches.
Well, they're followers of some witch that was killed, martyred, basically. And they kind of. I don't know the details on them exactly.
You mean purified? Yes.
Yeah, that's the correct terminology. Anyways, they notified Knock Richter that they had spotted the blood prints. And Edward Monau, I think is his actual name. He's the one of these people that has purified hundreds or even thousands of witches for Clovia. However, he did travel to Visigonia and terminated a witch there, which makes him a war criminal. He was spotted in Icenia Sud in Reginca, so we are going there to apprehend him and prevent his research from returning to Clovia.
What's research?
I don't know if we have exact details on what the research is. I look over to Blanca.
She shakes her head.
Big bad magic stuff.
Lady Bess did mention that it was important that his research nor he reached Paris.
Just as an aside, if he is of the magnitude and capability that I imagine him to be, he could have left under his own power at any time. His research must be valuable enough that he's willing to travel overland with it.
And he's not a captive. He's sheltering at this university.
I explained to the others earlier that universities often will lease or rent space to masters to do their research. It funds the university, and they also get a percentage of any benefit from the research. I imagine this is how he is occupying whatever space he has on campus.
And I know I heard the words "creature of darkness" in there somewhere. What did I?
There were
blood prints.
No.
Lady Usher.
Lady Usher.
Yes. What is a Lady Usher?
Well, that's my past. It really doesn't have anything to do with Reginca.
I disagree. I think you are holding out on us.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually remember this conversation, so it's a good thing it's been brought up right now. As we are aborting this ship, and we can take a moment to talk about it.
You didn't bring it up. Somebody else brought it up.
No, I didn't bring it up.
You mentioned it. So it must have bearing.
Connections.
Who's Lady Usher?
Robin does a glance over to Blanca, but tries not to shoot daggers, and then fails, and then goes back to Bjorn. There is maybe a creature or a spirit who is related to the orphanage where I grew up.
A boogeyman?
Boogie woman?
Was it real or a fairy tale? Don't you remember what I told you? There are no fairy tales. It's all real.
I'll just say that, and this is really in Blanca's defense. I was going to say this tonight, but fuck it. Let's just say it. Even though we've seen horrors here on, the carnival, or you and I, Bjorn, on the Ember Road.
I have to bring this stuff up. Oh.
Even though those are things that I have drawn to get them out of my head, and that's why I draw. Lady Usher, because she was my childhood, because she was what made me afraid there at the orphanage. Yeah, I mean, even though maybe nothing as terrible as what was from the Yellow Kingdom, that's still what it still haunts me. I still have a nightmare.
And what does she have to do with this mission?
I think just sympathy, like in the same way that Blanca needs to build the courage to be able to face demons from before and not let that affect her mission, in the same way that that's all I'm thinking that there is.
Well, I could have sworn in the mission briefing there was mention that there were some deaths being blamed on her in the city.
Did I miss?
That was
I thought that those were being blamed on. I thought that's why we were going there. Did I block that out of my mind?
It came up, and not just by you.
The first report, Blanca chimes in. The first reports before the mission even became real were that there was a murder of a teenage boy in the streets of Reginca. And they probably would have disappeared from the headlines, except 2 nights later, another person was murdered with the same MO, scissors, cut down in their prime by one strike of scissors. Now, the locals have been passing around the idea of this Lady Usher as the person perpetrating these things. But it is the height of tourist season, and such news it kind of suppresses the escapism that people are trying to get by going to Reginca. So I think locally the story is probably being suppressed. Through our channels, we've been alerted.
I thought
it's not a primary objective. Sorry, go ahead.
I thought that was the Blood Prince. I missed.
There may be a crossover there, and I wouldn't be surprised if his, but also at the same time it could be a copycat. Until we know more, it's not really. It's something to be aware of. I defer to Cornell in that call.
Or he could be doing this himself and blaming it on a
fairy tale
creature that we know does exist and will probably have to be eliminated so that you can get on with your therapy. I suggest you drink.
Hey, so about therapy, and I remember a certain individual saying that Yetis were terrifying, large, and scary. I didn't necessarily feel that way myself, but I'll take a drink too. Right?
Of course, we should all have a drink, but I'm not going to drink the way I did in Vermont.
Please.
You're going to drink more? No, less?
No, I have some opium.
No.
They put you in the pen for a few days inside of the infirmary, and you just rifle through that place, don't you? How much do you? Well, I'm not even going to ask.
Are you suggesting that I intentionally allow myself to become wounded so that I can raid the infirmary?
No, I think that you probably...
That would be unethical, despicable.
Overstayed your welcome. Good old beneath you.
Also insisted on having a sign presented that pet goats were allowed in the infirmary from here forth.
And that goat better be whole when we get back.
Well, if anybody eats it, I will pray for that person. I just don't know what happens when you actually kill.
It's very difficult to milk that goat.
It does milk though.
Isn't
Yes,
Okay,
and
moving
it
on.
stands very still.
Blanca, though, I apologize. I missed that. I thought you were just making an analogy, and I feel very now I feel more sympathy for you. I just came about 9 years old for a moment.
We'll talk later.
Mm.
The group of you gather on the promenade. You know, your luggage is stored up in the compartments that are your lodgings that you will probably not need for this journey. Though, as you check your itinerary, you realize that when you land in Briggs, it's going to be about 5 a.m.
We better get
The
something
day
to sleep.
will be starting. Yes. From there, you've doing a little bit of backward math. The drive to Reginca should put you there around noon.
Oh, wow, that's a rough run. We should sleep
I
in
guess
shifts
my recommendation.
from here.
Mm-hmm. And let's make sure that Blanca gets her 8 hours.
He joins you in the lounge for a cocktail, but she will retire as soon as possible. There is a 2-hour layover in London.
I intend to break up my time over those two. I will be heading off ship. If somebody else wants to come with me, that's fine. I feel safe and I see.
We don't go alone.
I think I prefer to go alone on this one. Prefer to.
Are you going to Cambridge?
For what?
Yes. Oh, I called the wrong location. Or Oxford, Cambridge. You know, it all looks the same to me when it comes to
I have plans to burn them both to the ground should it become necessary.
You were reformed.
Yes. Thank you, John, for reminding us which university we were actually interacting with.
I don't know what orifice I pulled that knowledge out of, but
it's fine. It was on the card. I must have been. They.
Dr. Legrand of Cambridge University.
Our fair city. Sorry.
Yes. Blanca has a little champagne before retiring to the room. The rest of you have a beautiful table with an amazing view of, actually, as you look down, you can see Obelisk beneath you. You're about a journey. If you squint and get to the right side of the cabin, you can actually see Habsburg on the left, or on the port side, and Obelisk on the starboard side.
Lovely.
You can send a.
I live right there. You cut out again, Ken.
I jokingly asked if there was any way to be able to send a flare or something. How far away the castle is.
We still don't like fireworks in a pressurized airborne ship.
These are the ones that you drop. The fireworks that you drop. No, maybe not. That's a bad idea.
6 hours to
lift
London.
gas is not flammable, but there are things here that burn.
Yeah.
We have 6 hours to London. Bjorn is going to find the cocktail lounge.
He is seated in probably the best cocktail lounge for 100 miles.
And it's
the service here is prompt, and they do not question your motives.
Good. Order a bottle of good Scandinavian vodka.
They bring you a bottle which you recognize. It is a small batch that is hand numbered on the bottle. You recognize that this is something that you would have loved and you dreamed of often during the war, and thought, if I live long enough, I will drink these every day. Today is that day.
Today is every day.
I'll have them bring a half a dozen glasses too in the event anybody likes to join me.
I am
And if
gonna
not, I'll drink by myself.
I'm gonna sidle next to him.
You hear piano music from the other side of the airship. It's far enough away that it is more of a dreamlike memory than an intrusion into your conversation.
Is Blanca here?
She has sipped at her drink and she is getting ready to head up to the room. You offer her a shot?
Yeah, and I look at the piano and look back at her and go, no.
Her normal humor, which would kind of come out in this moment, or at least that impish mirth, is kind of muted. She smiles, nods graciously, takes the drink, and then leaves.
I'm leaving with her.
Good Lord.
Take a shot. Don't want to miss a shot.
Why didn't you send them to the infirmary to have the sticks removed from their backsides?
Oh, I understand Blanca's need to go and get some rest. Robin, she is feeling very protective. But I am not going to have any of your vodka. I'm going to get myself some bourbon. I'm sorry. You're going to have to drink that all by yourself.
Just one shot.
I got to keep my head about me because I'm not mission lead.
Cornell, are you drinking with us?
We'll have one or two.
See, you're covered.
Not just one, but two. Not one, but two. Make sure that whatever you get is frozen and has an umbrella in it. And if you spill any, lift the hem of your skirt and dab at it.
I will take one of his shots. What is it? What do you say? Spiel? No, what? What? What?
You are the worst Viking I have ever met.
I already drank it. There's no point in
Jump out
saluting
the window
anymore.
right now. I'm not going to rescue you.
That's my job. We already
Enjoy
had
your
that moment.
Cuba Libre or whatever.
Bourbon, neat.
Concoction.
That's how fruity it is.
Hey, mission lead. Did you know you had 3 women on this mission?
I didn't.
Do you want some of my...
We'll have to maybe swap cabins so that there's room for all 3 of them.
Yes, they can have a slumber party.
I'll supply the pillows.
Robin, you and Blanca get up to the room. She lays on top of the bottom bunk, and the top bunk is still in the up position. You've got a small desk, a portal window that looks down onto the promenade, and beyond that, out the windows beyond. It's daylight out there, so you've got a fair amount of light still coming in.
Any lines or anything?
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Say that again?
No kidding. You're all fine. You're moving. Are there any pull blinds?
Yeah, there are curtains that pull over it. There's a tiny sink in here, probably the size of a soup bowl. There's a mirror in front of it. The bathroom for everybody is at the end of the hallway. These are tiny Spartan quarters, and everything here, you can hear the noise of the general ship around you. You get the sense that the chromatic wallpaper has some light version of compressed wood behind it, maybe 1/4 of an inch thick, some aluminum superstructure, and then the next room over.
Have you ever seen photographs of Hindenburg staterooms?
Yeah.
They're like the size of a janitor's closet with double bunks, and everything's aluminum, and even the ladders had holes in the sides of them to cut down on weight.
Everything's got a drill hole in it.
Yep. And for that, you paid top dollar.
Oh, look, we're traveling. We're traveling so fast.
It's nearly silent travel, right? Except for that little hum of those outboard nacelles. Mm-hmm. This is floating.
That's white noise. That'll help you sleep, Blanca.
Mm-hmm. You can see that she's laying there with her eyes staring up at the ceiling. She is in no position to sleep anytime soon.
She needs to drink more.
So, well, that won't give her the kind of sleep she needs.
Not that much more. Just, yeah.
There's not really room to sit, and there's certainly no chair that it sounds like at all. So
there's a tiny chair in here that looks like it's part of a fold down desk. Everything here is as nice as it can be if it weighs as little as it should.
As long as it's only 5 pounds, you're in.
Yeah.
She pulls up the tin chair and wordlessly puts her hand on Blanca's and squeezes it. So
I have 1,000 apologies for you, but I will only make one. I have treated our relationship unfairly in the past, in that I've taken it for granted. Our friends are downstairs around a table enjoying drinks, but you and I know the gravity of where we go. I just want you to know how important it's been to me to have a sister. And that if things don't come out the way we hope they do, that I appreciate you.
No epithets.
I know. I'm trying to go to sleep and my heart won't slow. I'm nervous and pensive and I'm ready for a fight, but I need somehow to find a way to get myself to sleep.
So what's the one happy thing that you can think of right now? Don't think about it too much. Just what's the happiest thing right this moment?
Landing a plane.
Perfect. I like that. Okay.
It shouldn't have landed. It should have been a big fireball, but we made it.
I love that. Good. Actually, that works very well. So I want you to relive that. Close your eyes.
She closes her eyes.
This is how I'd make myself go to sleep, through it. And through losing my parents. I hear you. And I want you to know, not because someone's dying, but because it should be said. For me, you are Marianne. You are my little sister. You're more than Marianne ever was. And you're impetuous, and I love you. And the way that I would put myself to sleep alone would be to focus on the one happy thing, which actually at first was Little Mouse, who I would feed cheese and then hide from the other children. So you focus on your landing your plane. And anytime you find your mind going somewhere else, you have the discipline. I want you to go back to landing the plane and how that felt. And I'm right here until you sleep.
Don't lament the passing of your parents. It is better to have a fond memory than a distant reality.
Maybe. Keep your eyes closed.
She turns away with her back to you, facing the wallpaper, and she props the pillow and punches it a couple times to get it into the right position. You see her try to approach sleep.
Overwatch.
Okay. Back below, Bjorn, you're halfway through the bottle. You've been pouring shots liberally. The mission lead has been holding his hand over the cup for the last 2 pours. But that's just really become annoying to you.
Well, it's good you are trying to avoid the alcohol, Cornell, because I need to ask you questions as the mission lead. What is the mission?
The mission is to capture the blood prints and his research. If he can't be captured, that's why you're here, Bjorn.
I understand capturing the research, but if this person is as dangerous as we are all being told, then would it not behoove us to dispense with the capturing attempts and move directly to the final act?
So, how about this? Because I've been thinking of this too. You have the liberties of using that lovely axe of yours to chop off both of his hands. And then we threaten his tongue. Because he's a good resource. We could probably get some information out of him.
Not if you take his tongue.
No, we hold that. But his hands, we start with the right one. And then, as he protests, we threaten the left.
I don't think I like what bourbon does to you, Bani.
Yes, it makes you unreasonable. Have you not watched Blanca cast spells without moving her hands? She once told me that it's a specialty she has.
Yeah. I've always seen somebody whispering or gesturing or something like that. And I expect most people...
Perhaps ignorance is my preferred state because it does not force me to retreat to my cabin in terror. But in my humble opinion, we're going to get one shot at him. And I think that if we prissy about, we're going to take your pinky finger, we're going to take your right hand, your left ear, your left toe, working off of an insurance actuarial table, I think it's going to end up very, very badly for us.
We have reason to believe that he's going to stick by his research. So if we can capture his research, he will probably come to us.
Is it not possible for the wizards to speak with the dead?
I don't know. Where's Blanca at? That's a question for her.
Because if so, question away. After.
Well, yeah. Wait.
If
I thought I saw you lumbering around with a special device, Cornell. Did you actually pick that thing up?
I thought Bjorn had it. Didn't he stop by?
You're talking about the special
Collar.
necklace?
Yeah.
Yes, I have it.
That sounds like a problem solved.
Perhaps. And I was not there, but Blanca said it was very difficult for them to put it on her, and it did not stay on her very long.
Oh, well, who took it off of her?
That was Cornell.
That was me. I took it off of her.
Yeah.
Without a key.
With how much effort?
It wasn't easy.
Right. It was
But
a while.
I've opened lots of things that don't have keys.
Yeah.
That's
All I am saying, my Norman counsel is that it would be better to have a conversation with him when his head is sitting on the barrel and his body is elsewhere. That is my opinion. But if he is as spooky as everyone says, then he's going to obliterate us.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
And I know your natural inclination is to sit down and have tea with the supernatural and ask all of your questions, but this is not some mere vampire that you can stake or some creature that you can throw out the window. This is someone that, at the very best case scenario, will vanish.
He's been capable of doing that this entire time. There's nothing that's keeping him in Reginca other than his research. So much so that he's willing to travel over land to take his research with him.
And he wants to return to Paris?
we think he is planning on returning to Paris at some point, that or somebody in Paris. But we know Echelon is planning on retrieving him. But they will probably be going over land to bring him back to Paris because he's not going to leave his research and he can't teleport with it, from what Lady Bess was saying.
Which, according to the map, if he is in Reginca, overland from Clovia looks like it's about 20 minutes.
By air.
No, I believe Lady Bess said it's about 15, 20 minutes to Clovia, and then it's maybe another 20 minutes to Paris.
No, it takes us 6 hours to get to London with an airship. I think we got. I think it's. Never mind. It's sometime.
Oh well, okay. It's.
But
it'd be about 2 hours.
Up to your table. She's got a little suspender unit holding the cigarettes to her. The lounge is available if you wish to smoke.
Definitely grab 4 or 5 packs and throw her some coin.
I'm gonna grab a pack. I'm gonna find a wrap cigar and have her prepare it.
You can tell that this whole getup is designed to provoke, and she reminds you of the Chromodor attendants that you've seen in the past, but a pale version.
Oh, Bjorn will grin at her lecherously and ask if tobacco is the only thing that's available.
She smiles and demurs and shuffles the little tray in front of her to make sure that the offerings that are for sale are near the front and the ones that are not for sale are tucked behind them.
Cock blocker.
Oh my!
There's a Viking here.
Let's go to the lounge. You want to go to the lounge?
The light outside the airship is growing darker and darker. You recognize that you're probably well over Alemania by now and approaching the channel.
Good times. Yeah, I'm going to lean next to a window and what's the temperature? It's probably fairly chilly at this point.
Your air is well conditioned.
I am pure oxygen. Don't light up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to smoke a little bit. But talking about what Bjorn, I want to continue that conversation because he's absolutely right that we do need to consider what the ramifications are. But here's the other thing. If all of his research is on the grounds of the academia that we're going to, how are we going to deal with that? Because we're not supposed to step foot on here. We would have to wait for him to gather those things and haul it off, or we have to rush the whole experience. We have to figure out who's in charge of that, or we need to shut that down. Whether it is somebody who just remains scrying that whole time, or any one of those things. How do we get to his
Cornell
research?
a shot when he's not looking and lean forward and say, "You're going to make the decision on how we approach and whether or not there is a capture attempt or otherwise. I will follow your lead. Make no mistake about that. But
Appreciate
if
that.
you give the order to engage, don't think you'll be able to pull it back." If that makes sense to you.
I think I understand what you're saying, Bjorn.
Then I am your man.
Did you say you slipped me another shot?
Oh, yeah.
Cornell will pick it up, raise it to you.
Tink. Skål.
Skål, that's what it is.
Yes, I know. I'm the Viking.
Well, I think we have a contact in Reginca that's going to have some more information from us. We'll see what he has to say.
And
That makes
if
sense.
Echelon does make a play for him, all bets are off for those
Agreed.
individuals.
I am 100% in the same boat as you there.
What day of the week is it?
Thursday.
Oh, good.
See, not Woden's day. It's Thor's day. So
he just finished taking care of that business.
I did. It's not that I can't work on Woden's Day. I just have to make extra sacrifice.
Well,
As
you
you
gotta
guys
go.
on the promenade, out through the window, you've been looking down on a constellation of cities as they move beneath the airship. All that goes black. You recognize you're over the channel.